What up, everyone? It's your boy Xmanny87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man First Appearance Action Figure Review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, with that said, let's go! Taking a close look at this First Appearance Spider-Man head, and I love it. I don't know what else to say, but I absolutely love it. I think the squinty eyes are perfectly shaped, and I love it way more than the one that came with the Retro Series Spider-Man one, as you can see. I love the squintiness on this more, man. It just screams more Spider-Man to me. I mean, this one's still good, don't get me wrong. I still love this one. Better looking face overall. When it comes to the side, though, it looks like his nose disappears. Well, this one still has a nose. I'm not sure which one I like more on the side profile here, but I think overall the head shape is much better on this one. I feel like overall this one is the better size, whereas this one, you kind of look at it on the side, it just feels like his cranium just sinks. You know, it's like no room for the ears to the jawline, where you feel like, alright, there's enough space for the ears and the jawline being connected there. So yeah, I just think this one is an overall better head sculpt. The paint on the eyes and the cobwebbing came out perfect on mine, so that really makes me happy. The head does this weird extended shifting thing, which, you know, he's just like, turtle, turtle. It just sticks out, but when you move the head all the way up, you could see that chin is all the way down his throat, man. Like, it just looks weird, and you could shift it up, pull it up, and there you go. You got the chin extended out. So yeah, that's just so weird. It's funny. Then as we look at the body here, this has to be one of the best Spider-Man bodies ever sculpted. I mean, it's pretty much perfect, I want to say. Like, the proportions are so good. Way better than that freaking Iron Spider I just reviewed, where the proportions were just wonky. They got it right here. The build is just, it's so good. It's just so freaking good. You know, I like the way the shoulder traps to the shoulders look. The neck is a good size. He doesn't have a pencil neck. Going to the shoulders, I wish they were raised a little bit. You know, I kind of wish they had this kind of import function, just like Mafix, where you can raise the arm joint up and down. You know how you can shift it just to kind of balance up with the shoulder line here, because it could droop down a little bit. But again, that's okay. I don't mind sacrificing sculpt there when it comes to articulation, especially for Spider-Man, because he'll get his arms higher than a T-pose, and that's super important for me. Yeah, it's a nice broad chest. The shoulders, you know, you got the butterfly joints there. We'll cover more of that in articulation. The girth on the side is great. Not like the Pizza Spider-Man where he just looks anorexic, you know. It's on par with the retro Spider-Man body, which I really do like. As far as the first appearance, this is just perfect, you know, because he wasn't super muscular. Then we look at the paint of the cobwebbing, and I was happy for the most part until I discovered that piece right there. That's just missing. A line is missing. So, man, QC continues to plague this line in the new era, and, you know, damn, I'm so bummed out about that, man. Everything was going good. Really was going good paint-wise. You can see there's some smearing right there on the line and right there. So, you know, it's not extremely perfect, but I was really happy with the cobwebbing pattern on mine for the most part, front to back. You know, it's just right there. It just, that little chunk just ruined it for me, man. I love the spider logo right here. It looks more like a tick than a spider, but you know, that's what I love for the first appearance look. You know, and on the back, you know, that's the spider logo right there. Should be in blue. I really wish they stood true and kept it accurate to the comic version right there of the first appearance. So I would have loved to have seen it blue. I always said that I'm a fan of the cobwebbing pattern being painted on Spider-Man more so than sculpted. And that's because his suit is meant to be all spandex and no texture on the webbing at all. But in this case, with this QC issue I have right here, now I wouldn't mind it being sculpted, because if there was paint missing there, well, at least it was sculpted and I could just fill it up with slight paint. So, you know, things like that could be corrected. Both has its pros and cons. I'm not saying I hate it sculpted entirely, you know. I'm just not a fan of the way it looks on a lot of Spider-Man figures I've done in the past. I think the best one that did it was Mafex. But other than that, I don't know. It just never looks right to me. And taking a closer look at the proportions here, as you can see, it's very nice, man. It's not super muscular. It's got great definition. And I believe this is being reused. Yeah, it's going to be reused for the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 3-pack. And that's going to have the blue and red colors, which I'm going to be a fan of, especially since I'm a fan of this body. And to have it in those colors, yeah, it's going to get me all giddy inside. But the black and red for the first appearance is just perfect for me. This is what I wanted in a first appearance, not a dark blue or anything like that. I wanted it black. They did give it a double diaphragm joint, which means everything to me in a Spider-Man figure. That is super important for posing. Yeah, man, it just looks good. The arms look good. The triceps, biceps. He's pinless, which is beautiful. You know, I appreciate this whole new sculpt, man. I really, really do. You see the butterfly joints right there. You push it back. You know, you still got the cobwebbing pattern, and you move it forward. You still have it. You know, looking at the legs right here. I'm so happy that, unlike the Pizza Spider-Man, you know, my biggest gripe is when the hips surpass the pelvic area. And we don't have that here. It's nice and flush, just like the retro Spider-Man. So you can see, man, that lines up nicely. Not like the Pizza Spider-Man, which, you know, just bulges out. That's so ugly, man. So again, proportions here is spot on. I gotta give the proportions a 10 out of 10, basically. And then we look at the legs, which is super important here. Unlike that Iron Spider, you don't have those monstrous calves, and you know, you don't have the lower leg bigger than the upper leg, you know, so it's balanced out perfectly. So that makes me happy. Good thigh muscles, you know, when you look at the inner thighs and the crotch gap, you know, it's not like the retro Spider-Man. So, and you can see a big a noticeable gap right there. So I like that the legs can stay straight. And I'm surprised they didn't apply the drop down hip mechanics for this, especially since this is an all new body sculpt. You would think they would follow suit with the retro body and apply that, but they didn't. I feel like that's a missed opportunity. Even if it wasn't those soft drop down and it was a hard click like that Beast figure, I would have appreciated that. The legs look great, and here are the pinless knees, here are the boots, the feet, no toe joints, which I don't know why. They added it for the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, but not this one. And there's a lot of new Spider-Mans coming out, and they're not adding toe joints. I did see an interview that Shartimus Prime had with the Marvel Legends Hasbro team when he asked them about not adding toe joints to the other new Spider-Mans, and you know, one of their answers was like, well, you know, they just wanted to test it out on one because they know not everyone likes toe joints, which, you know, I understand to a certain extent, but I don't think anyone would refuse toe joints on a Spider-Man figure. I just find that bullshit. I think anyone would take toe joints on a Spider-Man figure. And if it was just one figure, come on. What would it hurt if they added it on a second one? Really? Especially for the price point of $28. Add the damn toe joint. And you get the serial number on the bottom, and that's it. Now, for accessories, he comes with 2 closed fists, 2 crawling hands, 2 thwip-thwips, and what do you know, he comes with 2 gripping hands, finally! And you got the vertical hinge on them, and I say finally because they made them come with a web string, which you guys know are, like, super useless since none of them have gripping hands for him to hold. I think they did it on an MCU one, but finally, you can just have that there, plug that in his hand, and he can hold it, which is man, that makes a difference. Just letting you know, he does only come with one of these. It's shown in the box that he comes with one, but I wanted to point out that back when they showed the original promo images, it did show he came with two of these. Not a big deal to me since I'm not a fan of these web strands, but I have to point it out since they've been messing up a lot on their render images and promo images. Then he comes with two sets of web capes, so we get folded down ones, and what you're going to do is match the shape to the arms that have the gaps in them. So you might not be a fan of the gaps in the arms if you're not going to use the cape webbing. I understand that. Kind of wish they came out with a swappable arm system like they did with the Reed Richards figure. And that's how it looks in the front. If you want to make sure it looks nice and flush, make sure you have the arms lined up nicely and the shoulder joints lined up nicely, so that way it's not like sticking out in a weird way. So yeah, looks good on the back. Then lastly, here are the extended web gliders, and you know, they're okay for the most part. They don't look that bad. It just bothers me right here with this big gap. So yeah, that could kind of bother me. One thing that will bother me, though, is that I know I said earlier I'm looking forward to that Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 3-pack because it's in the blue and red colors, reusing this body mold. But unfortunately, because of these web capes or gliders, whatever you want to call them, you know what I mean. I don't mind it for this figure and this deco because the black will hide it, but for that figure, the blue will definitely make it pop out. But yeah, he comes with a ton of accessories for the $28 price point. I say that is definitely justifiable as we get the two different web capes, a web strand, and we get 4 different sets of hands, which we normally get 3. So tons of hands for Spider-Man will always make me happy. Also, if you have the retro Peter Parker, then pop that head on this body and give yourself an extra accessory with this guy because this looks freaking cool. I love the way this looks. Now for articulation, on the first appearance Spider-Man, his head moves all the way up, and I'm happy it's on the hinge and not the dumb, you know, ball joint that had that huge cap on the back. So I'm happy with a new Spider-Man sculpt. They corrected that here. It moves left, right, and it moves that far down. Barely any tilt though. His arms do move all the way up that far. So again, higher than a traditional T-pose, and that always makes me happy. You could get it far up, move them down, you can move them all around. You got the butterfly joint that moves that far back and that far forward. You got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows. Hold on, let me get that bend appropriate right there. Touches the shoulders, beautiful. You got the wrist swivel and the wrist hinge. You do get the double diaphragm joint, so you do get the upper torso swivel, and it does pivot nicely, and it does rock around. Not as deep as the retro Spider-Man, I feel. I feel like you do get more of a deeper pivot. There's more range on it, maybe because the sculpt is a little bit larger. Just got to hold that bottom diaphragm joint tight to make sure that you can see how far the upper torso bends over. So just that far over and that far back. Not much. There is more on the retro Spider-Man. As you can see, it goes in much deeper. But using the entire diaphragm joint, yeah, I feel like he needs a deeper ab crunch on the upper torso because the retro Spider-Man, you know, you get a very, very good bend. As you can see, he bends more over. So you definitely get more range with the retro Spider-Man, and it moves that far back, which isn't bad at all. But again, retro Spider-Man wins on that one. So moonsaults and things like that, the retro Spider-Man is better in articulation. That's still not to say that this is bad though. You can still get range out of this guy. Legs move that far apart, which he still can't do a full split, and that frustrates the hell out of me. His legs kick up that far, they kick that far back, and his legs rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and yes, heel to the Amazing Fantasy butt right there. That makes me extremely happy. And you got the boot swivel, ankles move that far up, down that far. Wow, that's some great range, and you can move them all around. Now to kick off comparisons, here is the first appearance Spider-Man next to the retro superposable Spider-Man. Here is the first appearance Spider-Man next to Peter Parker. Even though the Peter Parker head is a great match for this, the scale doesn't match stature-wise since this Peter Parker is bigger in size. It matches best with the retro Spider-Man. Here is the first appearance Spider-Man next to his maker, Stan Lee. Here is the first appearance Spider-Man next to Mary Jane Watson. And to add another love interest, here he is next to Gwen Stacy. Lastly, here is the first appearance Spider-Man next to the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and Spinneret. Renew Your Vows 2-pack review is on deck. And now to wrap things up, my final rating is a 9 out of 10. I'm going real high despite the paint QC, which I'm forced to buy another copy to hopefully get better paint next time around. But this is up there for me as one of the best Spider-Man figures ever made. The articulation is the most important feature for Spider-Man figures, and with this one, you'll spend countless hours posing him around. The all-new sculpt with the double diaphragm helps with that too. However, the execution for a full split is a severe necessity. I'm still very appreciative of the all-new sculpt, which makes a Spider-Man figure feel fresh finally, after years and years of the same recycled pizza Spider-Man body we had to deal with for multiple Spider-Mans. The proportion combines nicely with the articulation, as the combo didn't have to sacrifice much off of each other to some degree. Accessories galore here with 13 total accessories, which will make any Spider-Man fan happy. I'll be generous and say the price is justified here. The web glider effects can be somewhat of an annoyance at times, so I wish they did something to where it was just a soft good sort of netting that you can remove if you wanted to, similar to the Toy Biz one. That way we wouldn't be left with gaps in the arms, which I already see being reused unfortunately where it's not needed on some Spidey figures, and that will annoy some of us down the line. Let's hope they don't get into the habit of doing that, but it's Hasbro and they'll get complacent. Look at all the females we are getting now with those 2 big gaping holes on the back from the AOA Rogue, for example. Anyways, I know I'm usually super critical on Spider-Man figures because that's my guy in Marvel, so I really care how he's portrayed in figure form. I always want the best out of a Spider-Man figure, so while we don't have the perfect Spider-Man in Marvel Legends yet, the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man along with this one will at least make us fantasize of that perfect, amazing Spider-Man figure we are all waiting to get in the Legends line. We are getting very close, but they still have to work the QC kinks out. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think about this amazing fantasy Spider-Man? Where would you rank this among your favorite Spider-Man Legends figures? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xmanny87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace.